Welcome back to Real Life Reviews, and this is a really exciting video. A few weeks ago I was lucky to be invited over to the Netherlands by Ku Cycle. I looked at their offices and workshops, had some TLC done on my bike and underwent a bit of aero testing. The video in a second introduces it a bit like that. Do flick through the video if you want to. A little bit about the journey, a little bit about the workshops and the bike, and then out onto the aero testing. And at the end, I've got some conclusions, and I've got the data of, or some of the data of some of the work and testing that I was doing. So I really hope you enjoy this video. Good morning and welcome to what I hope is going to be the start of a rather exciting few days. I'm about to head towards Harwich to get the super ferry over to the Hook of Holland, because I'm lucky enough to have been invited by Ku Cycles to go out there. They're going to give my bike a bit of TLC, and I'm going to do some aero testing out on the dike with them, with the CDA monitors, etc., and look at fine tuning and where what can be saved, etc. So yeah, really exciting time ahead. I'm not taking the van. Two reasons: one, the ferry absolutely slaughter you on prices there, and two, I'm not sure where I'm going to be parking, so there's just a little bit of potential concern about safety of the van. I'm taking the car. I shall put a link to Coup in the description down below, so you can actually get there if you want, just by clicking on that link. I'm also going to put a link to Naked Runner, whose sunglasses and t-shirt actually I'm currently sporting, but not quite sure how this will turn out, whether it will just be a sort of vlog video, whether it will be a more technical, or whether I'll end up doing, depending on the footage, two videos, a vloggy video and a technical video. But here we go. I'm heading to Harwich, and hopefully next time I'll see you will be on the boat. 6:54, 9 o'clock ferry. Look at all the traffic. I'm getting really excited. Can't wait to get to Coup, meet up with Alex, chat with Richard McAinsh again, and yeah, let's get on with this aero testing.
With Sweden, I have to get used to. They're different, slightly different.
Good morning, here I am. It's the next morning now. I've obviously arrived in the Netherlands. I've driven up to Almere. I'm in the hotel, very pleasant. I had dinner last night with Richard McAinsh, the designer of the Coup bicycle. I've mentioned him before in vlogs and other reviews. What a delight it was. And we just chatted and all sorts of things. We chatted about triathlon, we chatted about the bike, we chatted about dogs, and also about some of the visions of Coup. So yeah, I mean, Coup is definitely a company that's looking to move forwards. So I'm just off to breakfast. I'm actually showered and pretty much ready, and it's nice and early. Didn't get much sleep, partly because I'm just not getting a lot of sleep at the moment, but also I'm pretty excited about today. Getting out on the dike, or in what they call a bit of an aero tunnel. Apparently they've got another stretch that's under the trees and it funnels the wind and just works like working in an aero, but the dike has the yaw angles. So yeah, I'm going to breakfast and probably see you walking across the car park, because quite simply the hotel is pretty much directly opposite the Coup headquarters. See you soon. Behind me you can see the hotel. It's a fantastic day here. I'm just heading off now to the Coup offices, QHQ. As I say, that's the hotel behind me. If I turn the camera around, don't know how well you'll see this in the bright sun, but just over there, there's a picture of a bloke you can probably see. That building is where the Coup offices are. And something weird here, it's almost exactly a year. So this is the 11th of August 2023. 7th of August 2022 I did Ironman Maastricht, and it was a couple of days before that, so probably the 5th, that I first saw a Coup bike, chatted with Richard McAinsh and saw things through. And here we are almost exactly a year later, and I'm about to head over to those offices. First things first though, at the car, and I'm just going to pick up my race helmet, my TT helmet, and check some tyre pressures on the bike, and then I'll be over there to see Alex and Richard.
In English it's Arthur.
Arthur. Okay. So you
It's the same name.
Yeah. So you probably just heard that. I'm just going to walk around a little bit to get the light away. So this is Arturos, or Arthur in English, who's the top mechanic at Coup. And I've mentioned before on the vlog about getting a little bit of TLC. What Coup are doing here is they're upgrading the part for me. So it's a brand new part. This will be the first bike with it on, and it's an upgrade to the base mount, the fixing for the TT bars. It will give, I'm told, an extra 5 degrees on the lift with the elbows, and it's a bit stiffer. And as I get older and fatter, it will allow me to move my shoulders a little bit wider apart. So what have we got there, Arturos? Is that copper grease?
Yes.
Yeah. Apologies for that. We both misunderstood there. It is assembly paste.
Yes.
Probably what I would normally call fibre grip.
Yeah.
I was thrown by the colour. That was, if I pan round, that was Richard correcting us because he knows everything. Absolutely everything. And there's the new part. Sweet. So Arturos has now got the front end off and is about to give the bike a bit of loving TLC and just clean everything up and make sure it's working beautifully for us. Just wonderful. Where else would you actually have a bike, have the chief mechanic turn around and have the designer of the bike sat here? There's Richard waving. Let's come just back to Arturos as he just carefully lays the front end down. What a piece of, I was going to say engineering, but it's artwork really. But where else would you get this sort of service? The CEO, Alex Bock, will be around later as well. So what a great effort. From the offices and workshops of Coup then, it was outside to get on with the nitty gritty of some aero testing. Arturos fitting the Aero lab.
Yes.
Absolutely amazes me how that...
Finally the time.
Yeah. How it actually works. And so Richard, talk us through what's going to be happening.
Okay, so what we're doing, we're fitting this Aerolab device, and this will measure alongside, it's got a super accurate GPS built in, it's got pressure sensors, temperature sensors built in, so effectively it will measure ground speed from the wheel speed sensor, airspeed from the pressure, temperature, so it measures all the parameters we need to calculate CDA. So what it will do, will run you up and down, so consistency is the key. We run you up and down on the dike here where it's nice and flat, we've got a little bit of wind, and we measure, so over 7 laps of 800 meters, it will record your power and all the environmental details, and we'll get a rough guide. So what I will see on the iPad as you're running the test, I will get a rough indication of a CDA versus power and speed, and we make sure that you're running consistently.
And my complete inability to run consistently.
Absolutely. Or your innate skill at running perfectly on this. And at the end of that, all the data is downloaded to the iPad and sent to the cloud, and then they have their proprietary algorithm actually incorporates wind yaw conditions with all the other environmental conditions. So with the CDA we get on the screen is kind of like what you would expect to see from a wind tunnel with no external effects.
Yeah.
They send it to the cloud with all the yaw data that the device has recorded and redo the calculation including that, and then it comes back with a refined value of CDA versus your power speed. And then what we can do, so that's a value of your CDA today in these conditions. Your CDA is a number that changes every time you ride, every time the weather changes. So you can go to a wind tunnel and it's perfect conditions. It's very unlikely we're going to see the same number out here in the real world. But what it means is we set you up on a baseline, and then we can make changes. We can change your wheels. We can change. We're going to have a look at, you know, whether this bento box idea works.
Yep.
We're pretty confident it does, but we'll see how well it works for you on the bike, because it's your CDA aerodynamics is very individual. It's not like, oh, he got this, I'm going to get this. Your body shape, everything. So what we're trying to do is match you as closely as we can to the TF1 for the optimal results.
Brilliant.
And that's what we're going to play with this afternoon.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's a lot, yeah.
But we'll go through it bit by bit.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
And then the hard work began. And the video here shows baseline testing on the dike, baseline testing in the avenue, some positional change work in the avenue, and also front wheel change in the avenue. Wow, what a time that was, and huge thanks to Arturos, the chief mechanic, Richard McAinsh, designer, engineer, and also Alex Bock, CEO. Gosh, what have we done, what have we learned? Well, the first thing is that CDA is such a variable. It's you can't actually say I have a CDA of, or when I ride my TT bike I have a CDA of, because every single day in every single set of conditions your CDA is going to be slightly different. So there's a lot of gumph out there about who's got a CDA of this and that. It's not. Somebody will have had a CDA of that in that particular time or at that particular time in the moment. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it is incredibly hard work doing CDA testing. So it's a 400 meter stretch where you must have consistency. You've got to build up to that, and then at the end of it you've got to slow down, turn around and do the same in the opposite direction. So 800 meters of measured, 400 and 400, plus the other time you're doing over a K on each one, and you're frequently doing 7 sets to get an average across them, and to try and iron out any outliers, etc., or any differences. So each block is quite hard work. And one of the issues that Coup see, and they're not alone, I'm sure, is that young people, and I use this guardedly and I'm generalising, will go and want to show how strong they are. And they will push out the watts and they'll go looking for an average speed that's quite high. They'll turn around and into the wind, it's a lot harder. And across the course of a day, or 3 or 4 days even, they're not going to hold it up. So my testing, as you can see from some of the data, just flicking up, my aim was to go for 31 kilometers per hour. 32 is 20 miles an hour. It was pretty windy and the wind was pretty much either headwind or tailwind. So the average power that you see is very much a mix of wind behind and wind right in front of you. So it was a good call for me and it was hard work. You would normally test with 3 or 4 people so that you got those rest periods. One person would work, be measured, that would be uploaded, the next person would work. I was the only one doing the testing, so it was really hard work. I have to say, smoke up my own backside, they were very impressed with my consistency. And here's one really astonishing factor. So sticking up, I'm just going to move slightly to the side. Sticking up, first off, is my initial baseline data on the dike. And you can see top right of the piece of paper, you can see that, or top right as you look at it, you can see that my CDA was 0.222. We then went into the Avenue and we still had a yaw angle of 2, 3, 4 degrees. Baseline testing, CDA 0.222. So, okay. The sharp ones amongst you will notice that after a few of those little video clips, my position changed. So we moved the cockpit forwards 20 millimeters and got a completely different CDA, as you would expect. It needn't necessarily, it might not have been better, and different people are different. The same setup is not going to give the best CDA for everybody. In my case, it did. It dropped the CDA, and that one difference there from 0.222 to 0.214, that difference, if you extrapolate that and use the algorithm to 35 kilometers per hour, which is more realistic to an Ironman pace for me, that's a 4 to 5 watt difference just in that one small change. So small changes can make quite big differences, but you do have to be careful when companies tell you that something will make a watt or wattage difference and change for you, because it's very individual, and they may well be talking about 50 or 60 kilometers per hour and what it does for a pro. Now, an interesting one here, this last set of data, I had a Zip 454 NSW, we switched that out and put Ku's own 35mm tyre wheel. I've got one here. Lovely wheel, fantastic wheel. What immediately happened, or what we found, was the CDA went down again. So 0.211. Now, Richard McAinsh was very quick to say, look, the Zip is a fantastic wheel. This does not prove anything, really. It's a bit of a one-off. They know that the 35mm wheel works really well in the forks of the Coup. So what's to say that the Zip wheel actually, I mean, the Zip is a very good wheel, isn't better in any number of other circumstances, or the Coup wheel. It's just that in this case, with these forks, in these conditions, we got a fractionally better CDA. It's also worth bearing in mind that just prior to that, I'd done a position change, and therefore I could quite easily have been getting more used to the position and a little bit better and more comfortable. Potentially that CDA change could have been positional and not the wheel. As I say though, Coup are confident, and it's amazing, this 35mm wheel is quicker than the 60 that they produce, and I think I'm right in saying when I watched Rico Bergen win the Ironman 70.3 Worlds on his Coup, I think he was riding a 35mm Coup wheel in the front. I'm going to have to really have a good look at that. So, yeah, what have we learned? Consistency is key. Aero testing is time consuming. It's very individualistic. However, there is an awful lot to be gained from it. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget the links in the description down below to Coup themselves and also to Naked Runner. If you haven't yet subscribed, please click on the little round picture down there, and some videos. Well, there's the Ku Cycle itself up there, there's the Met Trenta 3K carbon helmet up there, and Hoob's 316 Aero calf sleeves down there. Thank you for watching.